The autumn rain fell in cold sheets across the shattered orchards of northern France. Late 1944. A Wehrmacht infantryman, his greatcoat sodden and heavy, crouched beside the lip of a freshly overrun American foxhole. The air smelled of wet earth, cordite, and the metallic tang of blood. Scattered around him lay the debris of sudden violence, olive-drab web gear torn open, spent brass glinting in the mud, the pale faces of men who would never rise again. His eye caught on something half buried in the churned soil. A rifle unlike his own carabiner 98 Colt, longer, sleeker, walnut stock polished by use, its steel dark and oiled. He had heard the tales from the front lines. The Americans possessed a rifle that spoke like a light machine gun in the hands of one man. Curiosity and desperation overrode caution. He lifted it. The weight surprised him, nearly 10 pounds of balanced power. In a bandolier dangling from a dead GI's shoulder, he found us 8 gleaming, 36 cartridges held in a thin metal clip. With fumbling fingers, he pressed the clip down into the open action. The bolt snapped forward. He shouldered the weapon, aimed at nothing in particular, and squeezed. The rifle bucked with authority, the report sharp and commanding. 7 more times he fired, each pull smooth, each shot feeding without pause. Then came the 8th round. A crisp metallic ping rang out as the empty clip ejected skyward, he spinning lazily before clattering to the ground at his boot. The bolt locked back. Empty. He stared at the remaining loose rounds in the bandolier. No more clips in sight. Without that small piece of stamped steel, the rifle was silent, useless, a beautiful, impotent artifact in enemy hands. This moment, repeated in scattered pockets across the Western Front, encapsulates one of the strangest ironies of the Second World War, the M1 Garand, hailed by General George S. Patton as the greatest battle implement ever devised, represented the pinnacle of American industrial might and engineering ingenuity. Yet when it fell into German possession, it became a silent trophy, its revolutionary potential neutered by the very system that made it supreme in American service. To grasp why, one must step back to the interwar years, when the world's major armies still clung to the bolt-action rifle, the German carabiner 98K, the British Lee Enfield, the Japanese 99. Arisaka, the Soviet Mosin-Nagant, all demanded that a soldier manually work the bolt after each shot, breaking his aim, slowing his rate of fire to perhaps 15 well-aimed rounds per minute under ideal conditions. Infantry combat had changed little since the trenches of 1918. Then came John Garand. Born on New Year's Day, 1888 in Saint-Rémy, Quebec, to a large French-Canadian family, Garand emigrated to Connecticut as a boy after his mother's death. He began as a bobbin boy in a textile mill, sweeping floors and observing the relentless logic of machines. Self-taught, he patented his first inventions as a teenager. By the end of the Great War, his designs for light machine guns earned him a position at Springfield Armory. There, tasked with developing a semi-automatic service rifle, he spent nearly 2 decades refining prototypes amid shifting Army requirements, caliber changes from .276 to .30-06, gas system experiments, brutal field trials in mud, rain, and freezing cold. In 1936, the M1 was adopted. Production began slowly, 10 rifles a day at first, but ramped up to millions by war's end. The Garand's genius lay in its gas-operated rotating bolt. Gas tapped from the barrel drove an operating rod, cycling the action automatically. A trained rifleman could deliver 40 to 50 aimed shots per minute, maintaining continuous fire without the interruption of bolt manipulation. Japanese troops in the Philippines, facing it for the first time in 1941, reported Americans armed with individual machine guns. German reports from Normandy echoed the astonishment. Rifle fire so dense it mimicked automatic weapons, forcing entire platoons to take cover from what turned out to be squads of riflemen. Yet the feature that elevated the Garand above other semi-automatics, the en-bloc clip, also defined its limitations outside American hands. Unlike the detachable box magazines of the German Gewehr 43 or Soviet SVT-40, which allowed topping off with stripper clips or quick magazine swaps, Garand's system used a disposable 8-round en-bloc clip stamped from sheet metal. The soldier pressed the entire loaded clip into the receiver. The bolt closed over it, chambering the first round. On the 8th shot, the follower forced the empty clip out with that signature ping, bolt locking open for the next full clip. Reload took roughly 2 seconds. It was elegant, fast, revolutionary. But the clip was not merely a convenience. It was integral to the feeding mechanism. Loose rounds could technically be loaded singly into the internal magazine with the bolt held open, but this demanded two hands, time and precision utterly impractical under fire. American success rested on logistics, preloaded clips in bandoliers of 48 rounds, abundant supply dumps, disposable clips scattered without concern after use. Remove the rifle from that ecosystem and it faltered. For the German soldier in 1944-45, overrun American positions offered tantalizing prizes. A Garand might lie beside a few loose .30-06 cartridges, or even a stray loaded clip. If fortunate, he could fire those 8 rounds, experiencing the intoxicating speed and power. Then the ping. The bolt locked. No more clips. German 7.92 by 57mm Mauser ammunition would not fit. Even captured American rounds lay useless without the precise en-bloc system. German ordnance intelligence documented the rifle's mechanics, but knowledge could not conjure supply chains. Improvisation proved impossible in the field. No field armorer could replicate the clips from scrap under retreat conditions. The Garand, divorced from American abundance, reverted to a heavy single-shot or club. The recurring symbol here is the small metal clip itself, stamped, unadorned, mass-produced by the millions. It embodied American industrial democracy, simple, standardized, yet plentiful, designed for a nation that could outproduce its enemies in materiel. To the German soldier, accustomed to meticulous conservation and stripper clip reloading, it represented an alien world of throwaway plenty. One clip, 8 rounds, discarded without regret. That single piece of metal stood for the deeper asymmetry, not merely firepower, but the inexhaustible flow of supply that sustained it. The famous ping myth, that the ejecting clip betrayed an empty rifle, inviting a fatal rush, has endured in popular imagination. Veterans occasionally recalled hearing it close by, yet Army studies and battlefield acoustics debunked any tactical liability. Amid the roar of machine guns, mortars, artillery, and engines, a single metallic ring carried mere feet. The reload window lasted seconds. Squad mates covered the gap. The ping was audible, yes, but rarely decisive. A ghost story born of distance and drama rather than evidence. By war's end, over 5.4 million Garands had poured from Springfield and Winchester lines. German officers in after-action reports marveled at the volume of American small arms fire, mistaking rifle squads for machine gun nests. Japanese accounts spoke of disbelief at the sustained fusillades. The Wehrmacht responded with the Gewehr 43, limited issue, more reliability issues, and ultimately the STG-44 assault rifle. Too few, too late. The Garand had already shifted the balance. John Garand profited nothing personally. He assigned all patents to the government in 1936, accepted his civil service pay, and received modest honors. The Meritorious Civilian Service Award, the Medal for Merit. A congressional bill for $100,000 failed. He retired in 1953, died in 1974 at 86, largely unsung beyond collectors and historians. Yet his creation echoed beyond the war. He exported to NATO allies, including post-war West Germany and Japan. The Garand armed the very nations it once opposed. It served through Korea, lingered in reserves into the 1970s, and endures today in ceremonies, marksmanship programs, and private hands. When the final round departs and the clip sails free, ping, it carries a quiet reminder. That sound, heard across 100 battlefields, marked not vulnerability, but resilience. 2 seconds of silence, then the slam of steel on steel. The fight renewed. It spoke of a system greater than any single weapon, a nation that could design genius into simplicity, produce it without limit, and place it in the hands of ordinary men who fought not just with rifles, but with the weight of abundance behind them. In the end, the M1 Garand did not belong solely to the soldier who carried it. It belonged to the idea that sustained him, the promise that freedom, ingenuity, and sheer productive might could turn the tide of history, one clip at a time.